What's up? This is BreakmanX, and welcome to the game show on April 16th, 2025. How's it going, Jack?
It's going great. Let me tell you about our Lord and Savior, Blueprints.
This isn't that kind of show, Jack. Nice. And Maul, how are you doing today? Maul has vanished. I made him disappear. I made him disappear with my words. He'll be back. And Logan, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good. Literally just, it was kind of crazy just before we got here. Like, the lights were all down, but we managed to get them fixed like 5 minutes before I showed up for the show.
Yeah, I get this message. Go ahead.
5 minutes before that, I actually finished building my new website, which is up now, and that feels nice. Yeah.
That's great.
What's the address? Do you want to let folks know?
LoganBodenhammer.com.
Oh.
Pretty straightforward.
Hit it up. Millions of hits. All right. Yeah, I get this text from Logan, or not text, a Discord from Logan like half hour ago. He's like, all the lights in my room burned out, and I'm racing to the town, or we're racing to like the town.
Yeah.
20 minutes for me to get one. So he got back, and his room is illuminated.
Heroes.
Let there be light. Let there be light. But sorry about last week's show. That was quite the thing. I was horrifically sick for a long time, and it was bad. Don't get it. I even had to miss my film festival last weekend, which was really awful. Yeah, I know. It was really, really not good. But we're here tonight, and sorry about that last minute change up. Leonard J. Paul, who we're excited to have, had a thing come up this evening that he just absolutely could not miss, and he will be back with us next week. He'll be a really fun guest. He's done video game music on just a ton of different games. He's spoken at GDC among lots of other different places, and he's kind of an expert on video game music in general, and he's just a really fun guest. I was listening to the episode of the game show he was on our first run, actually before we even started doing the show again, and I was like, wow, he was a really, really good guest. So Maul has appeared. What's up, Maul? Yay!
Yeah.
So I kept connecting to someone else's device, so enjoy the Bluetooth.
That dang device. No, I like the way our new system works, because anyone can pop in and out, and it works super easy. So.
Yeah.
And Darria has the T virus this week, so she will hopefully be recovered.
She's sitting so still.
I know, like perfectly still. But anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. Super happy to have y'all here, and I think this is going to be a fun discussion tonight. The game show is a celebration of video games and our collective interest, mixed with a healthy dose of humor, while bringing in our favorite people in the game and movie industries on as guests. Probably should mention the elephant in the room before we get started. The Switch 2 pre-order in the United States has been delayed. I was pretty excited to pre-order one, and was all ready to pre-order one, and then things happened, and now apparently a few things, and now apparently it's going to be 240% times more expensive than it was.
It's amazing how much can change in just a matter of like 24 hours. Not even that.
Yeah. I think Nintendo was surprised. Haven't been that surprised since they pulled the Nintendo PlayStation out, I think. But yeah, I just that's something that I'm super disappointed in, because I was pretty excited for the Switch 2, and I think it's still, I think eventually it's gonna end up being okay. I think it's just, in the meantime, while there's so much uncertainty, there's just not a whole lot that they can do. I've heard
it gives Nintendo more time to spin, though, because they had been just under fire, like since our last show about like the system tutorial being $10.
Yeah,
and just like
that was something.
And I know other
like 80.
Yeah, and they're not the first company to talk about that, but they're the first one that advertised it. So of course everyone's gonna come at them about it. And it was a big jump. It was like was it $20 above the normal retail we were used to?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, they had started introducing $70 games with like the last generation. A few companies had started sprinkling them in, including Nintendo with Tears of the Kingdom. And so the full move, everybody thought 70 was going to become the standard, and now just the full $80 took everyone by surprise.
It is. I have to break in with the inflation discussion, because if you go back, with inflation, the GameCube games, were $50, and with inflation, the $80 games are about that same value in terms of overall value. Just wages haven't risen, so it doesn't do a whole lot of good for us.
No, it's rough when you're thinking about it, because when you get into the discussion, realistically, you go back to when we were buying games as kids or having them bought for us. I remember my grandmother paid $85, I think it was, for Chrono Trigger
in 90s money, where it actually was worth something.
Right. And then we were talking about a week or two ago, we were talking about the TurboGrafx 16. We pulled up that ad, and the CD ad on it for it was $500.
Yeah.
So there's definitely precedent for that is the price at the time of games and everything. But we've gotten really used to they came down a lot in price with the PlayStation 1 being on disc, so that Sony could just pump out super cheap. They were 40, I think, was the retail at that point. It's been creeping back up, but it's at a time when we're all kind of hurting. So
yeah, I will give a little bit of hope for those out there. So I don't know if you guys are big fans of Video Game Chronicle, or the Video Game Chronicle, the website, video game news and stuff like that. One of their main leakers, Bill Kuhn. So take it for a grain of salt, but he's been right on a lot of other stuff with Nintendo. He's got some inside information there. Thinks that they're going to start taking pre-orders in Canada on the 23rd or 24th of April, and they think that retailers in the U.S. will follow suit quickly thereafter. That probably around April 30th. So
anything
take
about
it with a grain
price?
of salt. Nope. No, not a
Please,
thing. The inside word is that Nintendo is basically trying to ship every single thing that's getting produced out of Vietnam right now into the United States into warehouses instead of shipping it to China first, where it has been sitting.
I also heard that there's they've been stockpiling them for a while. I heard a couple pretty reputable people say that they'd already had millions of units in the United States ready to go. So hopefully that will help things too. I want games to be as cheap as they can be. Look, there's nothing in me that wants me to make games more expensive. Even talk about inflation, everything like that. I want them to be as available, as affordable as they can possibly be. But just trying to take in all the realities of the world. Right now, things. The economy is a thing right now.
Yeah,
it's a.
I will say. Go ahead, Maul.
I was just say some interesting, items with that is getting into the realities of tariffs and stuff. Because a lot of people try to think of ways to get around them. We ship them to Canada. Can we just mail order them down? But that's not, unfortunately, how it works. It's about where it is produced from, not where it's being shipped from. And part of the tariff provision is that it also applies to your mail now, which it used to not. So if you they'll open packages as they come through the border,
taxes.
And
hey,
and hit you up there.
If they smuggled in booze back in the 20s, I'm pretty sure we can smuggle in electronics.
You're advocating international piracy.
Oh my gosh! But I will say that the one thing that gets around them, and I know that this isn't something we necessarily super advocate for. This is a legal thing, but just because we're all fans of physical media and preservation of such, but digital gets around it. So it does promote that bit.
I've seen a lot of really scary things from HD Retrovision, Mike Chi of RetroTank, Voltar, etc. All the folks talking about how this will basically destroy their business until things. I know RetroTank's going to be pausing all their stuff for the United States.
What's interesting with that, though, is he's basically, and this is something I hadn't really been aware of until Mike kind of came out and made that statement, was literally how short-sighted and how idiotic the whole thing is. They don't even have the mechanisms in place to collect the tariffs yet.
Yeah, there's no one there to collect them.
How are they going to do it? They haven't even thought that far ahead.
Yeah,
it's so infuriating.
It is.
I'm
It's
sorry.
infuriating enough that we're talking about the economy for the first time on the game show in this many years.
We can do a stock
We've
minute
had
if you
like
want to.
tangential conversations. We've never actually. I kind of looked through because I have every single show transcribed now after this summer, and I did a little search through them. So yeah, we've never the word economy has never been mentioned in a specific discussion about the economy, at least.
This is the first time for everything.
Yeah,
These
so
are
thank you.
unprecedented times.
Unprecedented times. The one thing I will mention is the only time the United States had a trade surplus was during the Great Depression. So, yikes. Yeah, but yeah. So I hope that the Switch 2 comes out. I hope it's definitely going to come out. I hope it's going to be as affordable as it possibly can be, and that everyone that wants one gets one. And I hope that everything works out just as well as everyone hopes it can. It's just it's a tumultuous time. It's a scary time. And honestly, my thoughts are with all of our wonderful people in the community that are making all these great things that we might not have access to, or might be much more expensive, or HD Retrovision seems to think that they won't be able to do what they're doing anymore. So we'll see what happens.
I think we're gonna see a lot of creatives, unfortunately. Like I watched the tabletop and board gaming industry
right
pretty carefully, and I'm already seeing that at least a couple of publishers have already put all their projects kind of on hold for now, and one of them, I wouldn't say bigger ones, it's definitely kind of like a niche one, but they had a pretty popular game in Merchant's Cove. Let me see. Who was that publisher? I want to make sure I get the name right on that. But they, Final Frontier Games. That's right. They announced they're going out of business because they're in the middle of three Kickstarters that are currently in the middle of production.
Oh my gosh.
They cannot bring them to the U.S., so they're just stopping.
Dang.
And the real thing is, though, I mean, not only is that, 'cause that's looking forward, like, so why would they close now? Maybe things could change. But a bunch of their creditors have already said, in light of, the uncertain financial future, they are not going to pay what is due to them. So another major board game studio, Simon, Cool Mini or not, had got into agreement with them to print a Chinese localization of one of their games, and it's fully printed. It's stocked in FFG's warehouses, and they're like, well, we decided that we aren't going to pay you for that because we don't know if we need the money or not in the future. So they just wasted their bankroll on that, and are just like, they need the money to stay solvent, and so they're just going to close. So the first of could be many. I don't know.
You just never want to see businesses just get taxed out of existence. That just seems like such a crazy thing. But
yeah, well, some of that, I mean, they run on such slim margins, and it sucks, because like if they want to pay any sort of living wage to their creators, they have to, take down. I like to know that 2 years ago, I think Simon, for example, they're one of the biggest of the producers right now, and they did a Kickstarter for a Marvel Zombies board game, and it kickstarted millions of dollars. It was huge, one of the biggest board games that had ever been, pre-ordered, and they only posted like $800,000 in profit for that year. So, not a lot of margin coming through. So any hit like this just immediately is like, going to take that company.
Yeah,
sad times. It's gonna affect gamers. We already, the ESA has been talking about it. Everyone's talking about it, but so welcome to the game show, Doom and Gloom edition. Anything else you guys want to talk about with the Switch 2 and tariffs before we move on to our main topic?
a little bit.
Well,
I got one thing.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily directly related, but it is kind of global economy kind of stuff. So I don't know if you guys heard, but the PlayStation 5 price is going up in a lot of territories, not the US, but like Australia, New Zealand, Saudi Arabia, basically like any of the what you would call the EMEA and UK and Europe. Like it's not just the US, it's all over the place that prices are, and it's crazy. Like, you know, we've been playing games old enough. Like, you guys remember back, you know, not even that long ago, but you know, new consoles would come out like $500 or $400, and that was the price. Hey, the early adopters are going to pay that, and eventually over time, as they get better manufacturing, they get better components, cheaper components, that price eventually goes down.
Right.
And the before you know it, you've got a new model of Xbox 360 that's $100 cheaper. Or you've got you eventually want to get to that sweet spot where you hit mass market appeal or mass market price, and you've got $199 Super Nintendo that anybody can get or whatever. And that's just not happening. Like, it's crazy to me how much the Xbox Series X, the PS5, and even the Switch for that matter, like they're all still right around the same price they released at 5 to 10 years ago. I don't know what's going on with the manufacturing process or what, or just, if free to play games are taking all the money, but man, it's not like it was even, like I said, 5-10 years, the last generation.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think, part of it is maybe the AAA games. We've had that discussion, how the AAA games have affected things. And then also just inflation. Things are just, the dollar is worth significantly less than it was even especially when the Switch launched, because it launched like 100 years ago, it seems. But even the Series X and the PlayStation 5. So hopefully things get better. I always try to think positive, and I'm going to think that things are going to get better. I don't have a whole lot of evidence for that yet. But I'm hoping that things go well. So still looking forward to the Switch 2. I love the bigger size. I love the controllers seem to feel better. I watched a bunch of folks hands-on with it. I actually watched this one YouTuber who Nintendo had kind of canceled relations with, and it was a little bitter, and he was able to get an invite code through someone else to get in kind of sneakily. And he loved it. He's like, I have every reason to say bad things about this, and like, I think this is great. It's going to be worth every penny. So I've pretty much every review I've seen of it has been super positive. They've obviously been hammered for a lot of in terms of the price and everything, but in terms of people actually doing the hands-on, those have been seemingly pretty positive. So I don't know. Yeah. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to play actually Switch 1 game. So the Switch 1 just I think was underpowered when it launched. Oh, yeah. And then it's, so I think playing those games on the Switch 2 is going to be great. And also the new Pro controller looks to have a better D-pad and looks to be better in general. So just a better way to play the Switch at first. And then Donkey Kong looks great. Yeah, and I want to play F-Zero online with Logan. So, yeah. So should we dive into the main topic of the night? All right.
Let's get to it.
All right, let's talk about some happy things. Happiness. Yeah,
there's still some out there.
Yeah, there's still nothing bad is happening, right? We're not watching anything go bankrupt. So thinking about different topics. This is actually a story that I wrote about on the very, very early days of BreakmanX.com. And the idea is the games that made us gamers. So what was the thing that happened in your kind of earliest memory that made you a gamer? And I can remember mine like super, super vividly. I can remember being pretty little. I mean, I was less than kindergarten. So I definitely wasn't in school yet, but I just remember going over to my neighbor's house, and there was lots of cool stuff there. He was always into comics and got me into lots of fun stuff. And I just remember going into their basement and walking down there, and on the TV, it looked like a video game, but I'd seen Atari 2600 before, and this definitely wasn't Atari 2600. This looked so much better than Atari 2600, and it sounded so much better than Atari 2600. And I just kind of sat down and was mesmerized by it. And it's a moment I can really remember, because it was like, whatever this thing is, like, I am falling in love. Like, this is so amazing. And like watching him control it, I just remember asking, like, what is this? And he's like, oh, it's Super Mario Brothers. And I can distinctly remember sitting on that floor for hours until they basically like forced me off of the floor that night. And then there was another game. Like, there's more of these things. They put in Legend of Zelda, and it had just come out. Like, it was brand new. And I remember them putting in Legend of Zelda, and like you could go anywhere, and it just seemed like, granted, this is like the first game like this I'd ever seen. It was such a new thing. So it basically seemed to me like the production values of like the Lord of the Rings movies. Like, it was like, this is amazing. Like, you can go anywhere, and it's this mystical thing. And, I was always trying to think about all that, but I can remember that moment, and I was never the same. Like, ever since that second, I've been obsessed with video games. So
that's pretty awesome.
That's me. That's me. What about you, Jack?
Yeah, I actually, 2 words: Donkey Kong.
Oh,
Donkey Kong in the arcade. Yeah. So similar, like I was probably like 3 years old. I can't remember what was going on, but we were at a Showbiz Pizza, and this was in Atlanta or somewhere outside of Atlanta at the time. But I vividly remember my dad literally just picking me up on his just holding me with one arm and holding the joystick with his hand while he had me kind of wrapped around, and just playing Donkey Kong as I just sat there and watched Mario kind of go up and back and forth up the girders. And it was like the coolest thing I thought I'd ever seen. And then he played, he took me around, he showed me a Popeye, he showed me, I don't think Mario Brothers was out yet, but Donkey Kong, like I said,
feels like the beginning of a movie.
I know. I definitely remember Donkey Kong, and I definitely remember Popeye. I want to say Crystal Castles was one of them too. But like, I was just obsessed after that. Same as you. Just like, I wanted to see these cool things. I wanted to go. We went to arcades a lot when I was a little bit older. But like, between that and then one of my mom's friends that she played tennis with. She had boys that were around my age too, and they had an Atari 2600, and going to their house and literally just sitting in front of the TV with them for a few hours at a time, going through their entire library. I played the crappy version of Pac-Man before I actually played the arcade version of Pac-Man. I was hooked. I can't really explain it, but something about it just grabbed me, and I thought it was really cool that I could control this thing that was on the TV. And that, I was, halfway decent at it. It looked cool.
There's something in my brain that is completely unique with video games. I mean, I have lots of interests. I love lots of different things a lot. And there's things, but there's something about video games that have a very particular hook in my brain that grabs me in a way that nothing else does. And it really, really gets me.
Yeah.
Maul, how about you? How did you get addicted to the drug?
Well, I grew up with him in my house. So my uncle and I lived together. It's part of it. Had the old extended family, Midwest, very, very old school. Anyway, everyone lived in the house. But my uncle was 10 years older than me. And so he had an Atari 2600. And so I just grew up. That was just always like a part of the house. Was just me trying to get the controller away from him for a few minutes. It was in his bedroom too, so I had to sneak in there or whatever, play it, or make sure he didn't mind me being in there. So like trying to think of one, like what was like the one that really got me on there, and it's hard to say because like when you're that young, it's just like it's everywhere. It's there's not just one in particular like point or moment. So I can think of like Pitfall was a big one. The first Pitfall,
a good one.
Yara's Revenge was really big. And for me, there's a more obscure one that I remember playing a lot. I think of it quite a bit, and the music still like gets in my head. Was a one called it was just Haunted House. And it's a two-sided tape. So the cartridge on one side of the Haunted House game, and the other side had Pikes Peak. And the Haunted House game was one that I remember playing quite a bit. And that was one that had an interesting thing where you could change the color or black and white and difficulty switches on the back, and it would change like the loadout of the game. It wouldn't do a whole lot. It was like easy or hard, and then you could play as like the boy or girl character, and it would change it up. Yeah,
that's cool. This is fun.
Of course, yeah. We go on to Nintendo after that. I mean, we hit them all. Mario was,
and after we hit everybody, we can go more into depth on these two, because it's gonna be fun to see. Because like, what is it about these things? But Logan, what was the game that made you a gamer?
So I'm a bit weird.
We all are. Don't worry about it.
Because I actually have to point. I started designing games before I actually consistently played them, because didn't really have the money.
You're like
growing up
Shigeru Miyamoto.
Yes, he was I didn't know that actually. Yeah. I didn't really have the money growing up to have my own consoles or anything like that. But at a STEM event in the 5th grade, got to go to a workshop about Scratch, which was like this web-based little block coding game engine. And was messing around with that and got to try making my own games for the first time. And that was really the first thing that got me hooked on games in general, because I'd played them before, like at my grandparents'. That was really the only place I could consistently play games at the time. And they had a Wii, so my favorites were like Wii Sports and Mario Kart. But, it was like once a month at most that I'd get to play games. But when I discovered Scratch and started making my own stuff, that was when like every day I'd be on my like hand-me-down computer working on making games.
Nice. So programming was your first game.
Yeah, basically.
That's awesome.
I didn't really start consistently playing games until Minecraft in high school. My friends all were playing Minecraft, and we started with like LAN parties, and we'd go over to each other's houses and played that way at like friends' birthday parties. And eventually, I decided to open up a Minecraft server so we could just play at any time, and that's what really got me consistently playing games. But yeah, before that, I was just making them.
That's cool.
That's awesome. That's a really cool way to get into it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it is true. Shigeru Miyamoto had never played a game when he was tasked to design games. And you actually find a few of the great designers are like that. So you're in good company, for sure.
Nice.
I'm just obsessed with Shiggy, so I mentioned him. All right, so moving on, further through this discussion, I mean, I can talk a little bit about, we can expand, but Super Mario Brothers, to me, it doesn't end that day. I mean, Super Mario Brothers, to me, was a game I would go over there every second I could be over there to try to play that game. And I mean, this was back in the olden days. So when we would be able to rent, an NES, we didn't own one for a while. We could rent one. You didn't really know how to play the game. There wasn't the internet. You went by word of mouth. And I remember my brother believed that the power-ups would harm you. So like for the first many times I played Super Mario Brothers, I didn't know that you could get power-ups. And so like it was a lot harder that way. And also just to try to avoid the power-ups. And then I think it was a star. Like we accidentally touched a star, and that, played on, and I like was like, this is amazing. So I was like, oh man, maybe we should touch these other things. And then figured out that you could get bigger, and then you could fire at things, and it kept expanding out from that. But I feel like that early period of games was really like that a lot of the ways, at least for me, where you'd really at first get very surface level, and you'd kind of get enraptured by the surface level of, oh, this is really cool, and then you'd be like, oh, but did you know this? Or maybe you'd be at school and you'd be sitting by someone like, hey, did you know that in Zelda, like you can blow the whistle and then the lake goes away and you go to that temple or whatever, or that castle. So like there was this constant expansion that was happening during that period that I really miss. And maybe I should just turn off the internet and I could experience it again. But you can't.
There's a whole cottage industry based around that, though. I was seeing that like gamers would intentionally did we talk about this, where they would intentionally program in like bugs and secrets and cheats and stuff?
Yeah.
in order to get Nintendo Power or other magazines to highlight them so they get the exposure from that.
Yeah. I got Nintendo Power. I still have my issues. No, that was just such a cool time. And just, there's such a camaraderie.
Yeah. But, at the same time, you could get into situations where like it went to a really bad extreme where like you had to have that magazine or you had to have that thing to beat it. Like Castlevania 2, like you didn't know what to do. There was no way you could make it through that game without having a Nintendo Power or having the strategy guide for it.
Now, I will say I have nostalgia for Castlevania 2. Because I love the music so much, but also when I finally got a guide for it and I could, when I beat it, playing it with a guide, like knowing what the hell you're doing, it's a pretty cool game, but like there's no way you could ever know what the hell. There's a patch, I don't know if you guys know, but there is a patch someone made recently for Castlevania, not super recent, like in the last year, I think, for Castlevania 2, and it's supposed to make it like playable, like the towns.
Well, it's mostly a change to the localization, right? Like the clues are not as cryptic and stupid.
Yeah, like exactly. Like the townspeople actually give you like information that helps you go to the right places, and I think there's a couple other changes too. But
I will still argue, as a big Castlevania fan, that is still a terrible Castlevania game. I mean, just the way you use the sub weapons to find the false floors, there's no
and just falling.
There's no
through.
real signposting. It's just it's a really bad game. And the final boss fight is such a letdown. It's just
music.
It's so terrible. Oh yeah, music's great, but it's just
I have nostalgia for that one. I recognize exactly what you're saying and really pretty much agree with it. But I have nostalgia. For that, the music is, and even I remember the day we got it. I remember because I loved the first Castlevania. I remember getting Castlevania 2 and not knowing anything about it, and just wandering around, And as a kid, like I was okay with that. I didn't need to beat it, and just like wandering around with like this amazing music. And then it's nighttime. What witchcraft is this? That allows for this technology.
Yeah. I do. I remember getting that, or I never owned that one, but renting it and having the kind of the sinking feeling as I was playing through. Because at first, it's like, oh man, I can go anywhere. That's cool. And then when I started hitting the townsfolk in particular, I'm like, oh my god, this is just like Zelda 2, which I did not like already. And I was just like, okay, what are they doing with all these sequels? Why is this the direction they're going? And I've grown to get a respect for adventure, or at least adventure, since then. But because it's a very challenging game, and likewise is like pretty obtuse, but not as bad as Simon's Quest.
I think Simon's Quest is about the worst example of that. But still, I still like it. Hey, so Logan, do you want to catch us up on the chat? By the way, if you want to interact with the game show, you can by either putting a comment here below or going to breakmanx.com and clicking on the Discord. And also, if you like what you see, please hit us up with a like and subscribe. If you have your privacy settings where this kind of thing can happen, your name will flash right here and it'll go ba-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba. So to make that happen, Logan, go ahead and hit us up in the chat.
All right, so Storm Eagle says, the early game that started my journey of being a gamer was Super Mario Bros, as well, like most kids are our age. Yeah, that's a good one. I love Super Mario Bros. I actually haven't ever beaten it because I haven't had very many opportunities to play it, but those first initial levels, pretty addictive.
Yeah. You should play. It's a masterclass in design. I go through that.
Go ahead.
Oh, I go through Super Mario Brothers with my students. That's the first thing we go through, and like why things are the way they are. And
it's perfect at teaching you how to play the game. It just shows you through the design.
You can just stop with it's perfect.
And what's crazy is so I don't know if anybody read the video games channel at all this week, but one of the guys from Giant Bomb, Jeff Gersman, has been playing through Super Mario Brothers Special, which is a PC-88 port of Super Mario Brothers that was officially licensed and handed over to Hudson to make, and oh my god, it is like all the amazing design decisions that they put together in Super Mario Brothers is just nowhere to be seen in that game. It is so terrible,
Shows
and
you
watching
how
him play through that is
good
just god
NES
awful.
one was. But
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like they did have somebody recently put together a quote unquote fixed version of Super Mario Brothers Special, and they have a ROM for it. You can find online for other purposes for the NES, and it actually is halfway playable, but it's still like it's nowhere near as intuitive as the original game. It's an incredible piece of game design.
nice. All right, Logan,
Yeah.
hit us up with some more chat.
We've got Storm Eagle. Also, I think this was in context with the conversation before, with the supporting cast of Zelda, Mega Man 2, Castlevania.
So good.
And then Johnny Graphic says,
Johnny
"Thoughts on Lords of
Graphics,
Shadow?"
welcome back. Yo.
Lords of Shadow is really good. It's a great shmup. I don't know what else to say. Great music.
Wait, it's a shmup?
That was a shmup. Oh, Castlevania Lords of Shadow.
Lords of Shadow.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, I was thinking Lords of Thunder.
Oh, no. Yeah, Lords of Shadow.
Yeah, no, Lords of Shadow it's okay. Like it's good, but there's just it's a third-person adventure game before they kind of standardized on how those should work in a modern context. Like it's trying to be Devil May Cry, and it's not quite there. But it's kind of like it's halfway in between Devil May Cry and a Souls-like, and
Isn't it?
It can't decide which one it is.
Does Michiru Yamane still do the music? Is it still like Castlevania music, or is it like
I don't think she did that.
modernized? No.
It's more bombastic, like classical music. Like there's some motifs in there, but like there's nothing like you would automatically recognize as a Castlevania.
I still
song
want to
in
give it a try. I tend to like the third-person action games. I mean, I love Devil May Cry, except for the second one.
I started playing through it again like 2 months ago, and
Lords of Shadow?
Yeah, Lords of Shadow.
Oh, wow.
It was on sale on Steam for like $3. So I was just like, yeah, why not?
Is it still? Where's my phone?
I mean, I'm sure it's not that expensive. But
Well, now
like,
you've thrown it out there into the world. I do want to see this Castlevania shmup.
That would be so cool.
Wait, they have it. It's called Vampire Survivors.
That's true.
Ode to
Oh,
Castlevania.
okay.
That is true.
I just had in my head like this, like you being like Richter Belmont and you're riding on Alucard's back as he flies, or something. You're just throwing holy waters at things. That'd be pretty good.
And Dracula just says random things from Symphony of the Night. Like,
Yeah,
at times. Nice.
No, I did post in our chat there for you. Bring one of my favorite little bits of gaming trilogy or trivia. There we go about Simon's Quest, that they had to eventually alter the box art because it had been copied from a Dungeons and Dragons Ravenloft module.
That's great.
So later, when the greatest hits version of it came out, it's just Simon in front of a blue background in order to avoid getting dinged again.
Nice. And Sydney, hello, daughter. Thanks for listening. All right. Yeah. This has been fun. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
We have Sydney that says hi, and then
I was saying hi to her. Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And then Storm Eagle says, "I've never played Lords of Shadow on 360 PS3."
It's a good one. Or wait, I don't know if it's a good one. Never mind. I can't say that.
Yeah.
It might be good.
Like I said,
I've
if
not
you're a
played it.
Castlevania fan, you should just check it out because it does have some lore ramifications that are pretty profound. But
that's cool.
Like,
I like lore.
the game itself,
Not
take
as
it or
much as
leave it.
Data though.
Right? Is that the one that's set in the far, like the Gothic future?
That's 2. Lord of the Shadow 2.
It's 2. Okay, gotcha.
I mean, I love
Yes.
Castlevania in general. There really hasn't been a game, even Simon's Quest. I mean, if I can stomach that. I mean,
I will give it some credit though. It does have the best character in all of Castlevania in Zobek. He's voiced by Patrick Stewart, and it is he is great. Zobek is awesome.
Can you tell me he's better than the old guy who runs the library in Symphony of the Night?
Yeah, the librarian's great, but man, Zobek is Zobek.
Man, that's a pretty big sell. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to play it. Yeah. Well, about this early period when things really grabbed you, what do you think? What do you think about it? Was that made you realize that this new medium? I mean, it's not movies, it's not these other things that you've done. What do you think it was about games in particular that really stuck its teeth into you? It's a hard thing to think about. It's something I've thought about, and I don't know if it's any one thing for me. I think it's like just the sum of the parts, and it's almost like an intangible thing for me. It just is. Like I've just always, there was nothing about it. It was just all of a sudden I saw it and that was my thing, and everyone knew it.
I think for me, there's that sense of accomplishment, like Donkey Kong. You know, that was one of those things where like I could see Mario start at the very bottom, and he had to get all the way up to the top. And then you got the girl, and then hey, guess what? You have to do it again on a different. There's something about seeing how far you could make it, you know, just the first screen, how high can you get? You know, it's a challenge. Hey, this is tough. See how far you can make it. And
yeah,
you know, challenge, whether it's in, you know, Donkey Kong, whether it's Castlevania, whether it's any video game, for the most part, that challenge is really, really what propels me. I mean, you know me, Break. Like I love competition. I love sports.
Yep.
And just that sense of accomplishment and you know, telling myself I can get better at this. I can learn what this game is trying to teach me. I can learn the certain things, especially in the arcades where like it's designed to take your money. Like I can get good at this, and I can beat this thing, and I can beat the computer at its own game. That's really what grabbed me. And you know, the music, the graphics, all the stuff that comes together makes it just that much more fun. But really, it's just like it's that sense of achievement. And I'm not saying I need achievements or anything like that, but that sense of achievement personally when I finish one of those games or when I make it farther in a run, that really grabs me.
That's an interesting point. When in my class, we watched this interview with Shigeru Miyamoto, and he talks about that like exact concept of accomplishment, and how that's like a key tenet of his design. Is he always thinks, when people always give him like stuff about progression and stuff like that, and why don't you give this power up earlier or whatever like that, he always talks about accomplishment and how that feeling is so important to games. I would say for me it's experiential. I just like to experience the game. Like I don't necessarily, I like competition can be fun, and I definitely like that too, but for me it's like I just want to go in and see what like all these designers have made. Like they've spent all this time and money to like make this thing. Like what? Yeah. It's like going in and experience like a chef's meal. Like what have they done that I get to now enjoy?
Yeah, the creativity as a medium is just amazing. It's off the charts. Yeah. There's nothing like it.
There really isn't. Yeah, I like that iterative process. What about you, Malt?
Yeah, I think, well, you're talking about the variety, and I was just kind of thinking about, like, what is it, right? And yeah, I think that games, luckily, coming in when I did, have, grown along with me, which has been good. I was a kid, pixels, little blocky guys, 2D, not much going on. You had to really use your imagination for it, but it was new, it was different. And like the Atari era, the Nintendo era, those were just, the games were new, they were exciting, they were like the cool thing, even though they're often very simple, they were still fun. But like when a lot of people as kids kind of started to like grow out of it and just become like jocks or skaters or whatever, our little cliques we had in the 90s. Like I still, stuck around with video games, but they offered different things then. In the Super Nintendo era, I discovered like the Final Fantasies and Chrono Trigger, and games that had storylines to them. Earthbound, like the narratives, the exploration, that started to really get to me. And then when we moved over into the N64 and PlayStation, was when they could start feeding into like the idea of simulation. Like with X-Wing, I'd put it on first person mode, and try to like feel like I was in the cockpit, or and also like you start to get a lot more like social games with like the Dance Dance Revolutions, people having parties and stuff for that and everything, and games, they've just gone through so many different iterations and so many different things, and it's brought so many different things into my life at different times, so it's just really just having so much variety and so many different ways to express art and experience through video games is really put such a great variety out there. Yeah. And we're at a point where we're a little stale at the moment because we've tried to do more stuff with like I think the Wii and VR and stuff have tried to put some new touchstones out there and new ways to play the game that haven't been taken to for as long of a period. Like the Wii obviously was huge, but people eventually kind of grew tired of that play style. But I was kind of waiting for what's the next big thing, outside of, controlling your hand, first person shooter kind of
being
thing. Like what's coming up, Well,
yeah,
we had that and now we've lost it.
We lost it. It'll come back, maybe. No, that's a really good point. And the other thing I really like that you mentioned is art, because that's something that, that growing up, I kind of always appreciated games as art, but was scared to admit it, especially when I was younger, because knew that it would be something that would be ridiculed both by the people I knew that play games and the people that didn't like games. I knew it would be, at least at that period, pretty much a universally reviled opinion. And it wasn't really until high school-esque, when I started writing papers, kind of trying to connect video games to art, and then really finding Penny Arcade, where Tycho was talking about games as art, was all the time. And then, of course, they started having these awards and all sorts of amazing things to kind of connect them to that. But I love to think, and they are. I mean, it's a obvious thing to say now. It wasn't always an obvious thing to say, but they are art. And there's so many different kinds of art coming together. You've got the visual art, which is just astoundingly beautiful. I love all the different eras of that. You have the audio. You have, we have Leonard J. Paul next week talking about video game music. You have great game music. You have great sound design and sound effects. You have the amazing artwork even that goes on the cover of the game and all that. And then you have, what Logan was talking about earlier, the programming, like code poetry, like that is also art in terms of getting the game to run. And this was something I would try to say to people early on, is like, you literally have artists from just about every type of art you could imagine coming together to make one thing for people to experience, and they're experiencing it for a long period of time. I don't think any art is better than another piece of art, but the fact that you're interacting or utilizing or experiencing a piece of art for hours and hours and hours, like, that's astounding to have that kind of, I mean, there's nothing else like it that exists. Mm-hmm. But Logan, I didn't want to skip over you. What is it for you?
Yeah, well, we're going back to that point where I started, which for me was actually when I started making games. It was the creative element of it for me. Like, basically, as soon as as early as I can remember, I wanted to be an artist, and for the longest time, I couldn't decide what kind of art I wanted to make, because I just liked making things and different varieties of things. And when I discovered games, that was the first thing I'd been able to create that could react, basically, that could interact and move on like a deeper level than just a drawing or a sculpture that would just sit there. And I loved that depth to it. And really just being able to tinker with it and see different ways I could make it work, or different, like, I love the idea of being able to create a world that someone could explore, and like me being able to bring that into existence was just a really fun thought. And then like that was what initially got me into it, but as I kept exploring with it, I just fell in love with how many different art forms go into it. Like you were talking about, it started with the programming, like making something that could work, but then I started branching out into 3D animation and, like kit bashing to create worlds and that kind of stuff, levels. And there was just so many different rabbit holes to explore and learn about. It's never ending. I still don't know everything, and I've been doing it for a decade at this point, just poking around online and learning stuff. And I think that's what really got me into it. It was just this infinite rabbit hole.
The older I get, the more I realize I know less. Like the more I realize how little I know. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a healthy viewpoint, right?
Hopefully. At least I don't think I am like a master of everything and there's nothing else to know. That would be awful. But, well, is there anything anyone wants to say about the games that grabbed them, or we can move on to our next area of discussion here?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I can say about like the games I played that grabbed me. I really love multiplayer games because of the way they can bring people together. And like, especially Minecraft. Minecraft is special in that like it brings people together, just like build things, like build bases and spend time being creative together. And that's just a really cool environment. That's, I think, one of my favorite elements about the game.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Multiplayer, I just remember being able to have two people play at the same time and how like that seemed like amazing. Like there's two controllers, like that thing can process two people. I just remember thinking how crazy that was and like how cool it was. Yeah.
Some of my favorite memories with my brother growing up were those times that we got to go over to our grandparents and play Mario Kart. And it was just fun being competitive, and that way it's like the silly racing game and you could like launch crazy power-ups at people. That was something you couldn't do anywhere else in that way. And it was a blast. And yeah, without that game we wouldn't have had memories like that.
I remember my first Halo LAN party and back in the day, and lots of anger. Jack wasn't there yet. I didn't know Jack yet. But there was so much anger, like people's faces going like all the color draining and triggering and that's what I remember. But yeah, I multiplayer. Yeah, there is. And that intensity, and there's something about that state that you get into in multiplayer, that flow state when you're like really good at it or whatever, that is unique to games. I like that with shooters, shmups. Like I have that same state of kind of being able to get through something that's difficult. I think I probably experienced that with that. But shall we can always come back later if we think of something. All right, so the next thing we're going to go into is kind of a smattering of what we're playing now, and then we're going to talk about some chiptune music. Yes, music de chiptune. And then we'll get back into some of the comments too. So kind of a what you're playing thing. Mine is a buffet. I haven't gotten too in depth to any of these things, so I'm kind of going to mention them quickly. We can come back later if we want to or not, whatever. But the first thing I want to talk about Xbox Project Stellar. So I got my Xbox back from.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got my Xbox back from Krista at Sound Retro. Who, by the way, if you need someone to do just about. We have our friends Fenris, who does amazing work, and we have Voltar, who does amazing work. And if there's stuff that those two can't do for you, I think Krista's definitely a great choice. She really did some great work there. But the Xbox Project Stellar, one thing I will say about the mod chip itself, and I know there's other ones that you can get and things, it just works. Like everything that you want to do with it, you can just, I know there's some features that they haven't added yet firmware wise, and there's people are upset with that. But I will say that everything I wanted to do just worked. Like there was nothing I wanted to do that I couldn't do. Like everything worked exactly how I wanted to. Turning the Xbox on and registering with Xbox Live was surreal. I mean, I haven't done that since 2000, like when Jack and I were betaing it. Like,
was your gamer tag still available?
it was available. Yeah, it was available. And Insignia with Project Stellar, it's like built in. Like it has everything's already built in with it. You don't have to do anything special. It's just ready to go. And it's fun to launch the Xbox games and be able to sign into Xbox Live. It's crazy. There were like 60 people playing Halo 2 the other day on Xbox Live, like OG Xbox Live. Yeah, that's the game that like everyone plays. But yeah, I mentioned a couple. Outrun 2, 2006, Coast to Coast. That kind of that is so good. I have the original Outrun 2, but the 2006 one just adds so much on top of it. That's probably the game I've played the most.
That drift mechanic is so great.
It's so good. It is so good. And I've also been astounded at how good the Xbox looks.
Mm-hmm.
I've played the emulation on the Xbox Series X, which I'm so glad exists and is awesome. But I actually prefer the way it looks on the original Xbox, except for one game, which I'll mention here in a second. Every other game I like on the original Xbox. I played a little Phantasy Star Online.
Nice.
Just a little bit. And then I still have all my saves. It has all my saves going back from my original Xbox. So I have replays from ESPN football. Which I have not seen for 12 forever ago. Oh my God, 22, no. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, it's been that.
Stop it. No, one in particular, it was like Loose Cannon Dropping Football was the name of it. So my roommate, Loose Cannon, we had many intense games, as Jack well remember, of ESPN football. And this one in particular, he intercepted the ball from me. I was watching it. And then as he's running for a touchdown, he accidentally hit the lateral button. And I ran and grabbed the ball, and I can remember how angry he got. But launching any of the games, Jack, by the way, your saves are like on Halo and Halo 2 and like about every game that I would launch on there. And then I played a little bit of KOTOR. That's the one game that I do like better on the Series X. I feel like the frame rate and enhancements work better on that. Burnout 3 is still amazing. So good. And then I played a ton of Ninja Gaiden Black. And it still plays great. I actually feel like it, and again, this could be just total BS, but I feel like it plays better on the original Xbox than it does on the emulation on the Series X. So it's been fun. It's really cool to just be able to launch an Xbox game and play it. And then if you want to play a different game, there's a button combination you hold down on the controller, and then you just pick a different game, and you're in the different game.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and it has some features that the Stellar in particular, it automatically maximizes the speed of your hard drive because I have a different hard drive in there now. But it makes and the loading times are so much faster, like loading off a hard drive than off of like a DVD. So yeah, I'm happy with it. I've had my history with Xbox. If you'd have told me back in the day I'd have something like this. But now I have there's no more mods I'm really in pursuit of. I'm kind of modded out, and with the tariffs, I don't think I could be modding anything going forward anyway. So I'm glad that I got it done when I did. But yeah, if you're thinking about Project Stellar and the stuff that it does looks good to you, I can tell you that it works. Like it works. It works very, very well. So yeah. I think you in particular, I mean, like being able to have access to every Xbox game that you've, of course, legally purchased at any time, and being able to play those games online and for free. And then, there's some more enhancements that are supposedly coming down the pike. I was more interested in just being able to play all the games and all that. But it's a really cool, and having all my saves still was pretty cool to be able to go back and like launch Halo, and you're in there, and Philo, and Shrek, and then like all the original, like Richie, everyone's still in there with their characters. and someone named Chlamydia. I don't know who that would be. I was trying to figure out who would name their character Chlamydia.
It's a beautiful name.
It is. It was pink. Yeah. But yeah. So I'll stop there for now. And also once I got sick, I didn't play anything. I just laid in bed and wallowed. But for several days.
Too bad.
It sucked. But Jack, we've actually lost your video, but okay. It's all good. Your voice still sounds glorious. Burb, what about you, Maul? Have you had a chance to play anything?
Not a ton, though. I'm very excited that the patch number 8, the final patch for Baldur's Gate 3, has now launched. I don't know if you've seen what is included with that. It's massive. It adds 12 new subclasses for the characters.
Whoa.
Like 100 new spells into the game, and they have now completed cross-platform multiplayer. So you get on the PC, you can play with me on the PlayStation 5, all that good stuff.
Cool.
So that's pretty great. They also put out the developer tools to the community, so now everyone can make new campaigns for the game as well on the engine, and just keep that
really
rolling.
cool.
I'm gonna have to give that game a try.
Same here.
You really should. Yeah,
When you
it's so
mentioned
good.
it in your list, it definitely made me want to play it. Did I hear correctly? There's crossplay between PS5 and PC. Is that what you said?
That's correct, and
That's
the
nice.
Xbox. Yeah,
And wow,
Sorry, I
that's
missed it.
cool.
Which game?
Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh yeah.
Now I
Yeah,
will say,
so.
okay, this is gonna affect like 20 people max, but Phantasy Star Online for the Xbox has crossplay with GameCube. For all 50 of us in the world, maybe. To play
Well,
it. But-
they finally got that hammered out. That's great.
yeah, right. It only took 22
Only
years.
20 years too late.
Yeah, right. But you don't have to buy the extra pass that Sega used to force you to buy.
Oh.
Well, yeah, I do encourage you to break though, and then Logan, so you guys haven't played it, to pick that one up and try it out. That's one of those where it's like Larian, they're spoiling us, you know, like they kept their game at $60. They it was pretty much done. The instant it came out, it was totally playable. And I agree with you, it took them 10 years of development time to get it out there, but they didn't put it out until it was ready to go. And all the DLC with any additional subclasses, all stuff has been free coming out since then. So it's hard not to kind of hold them up on a pedestal as far as publishers go at this point, with all the great stuff that they've been doing. So
That's how it used to be.
Yeah, no, they've done a phenomenal job with just the release cadence, everything. I mean, they put out a patch earlier this week that introduced the crossplay, right?
Right, exactly. That was a patch 8. The game's in its final state now, but it added so much content, so much content.
Cool. Did anyone see that Displaced Gamers video earlier about the Super Mario Brothers 3 differences? It just was running this patch. Like we didn't really think about that, but like it was, so that game came out in like February, March of 1990, and then the revision started coming out in like July of 1990. And like there's a couple translation things, but there's actually a couple coding bugs where when you hit the thing and you get the mushroom or the at the end of the levels, you get
like the match game kind of thing.
Yeah. There's a bug where when a certain instance happens, if you watch the video, it'll tell you in greater detail where those will disappear from those boxes, and then they'll reappear in a screen later. But they fixed that bug in the revision. And then there was one other one, but I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. Like Super Mario Brothers 3, this massive game that was like cutting edge at the time, that was the one bug that they had to fix. But Jack, now that you're back, what are you playing?
Oh man. So like I mentioned up at the top, I've been playing it's a play on words, Blue and then Prince, Prince.
You say Blueprints?
Yes, Blueprints. It is a puzzle game that's like it's really hard to explain, but you essentially blueprint for this manor that is bequeathed to you by your late, and you get the manor if you can find this fabled 46th room estate that has only 45 rooms, and right through the manor, you get to decide what room is next. So like you get to decide like, hey, there's a rec room next and it's got exits to the left and right, but nothing straight ahead. Or the next room is a hallway. And there's a lot of different things. You can only go so far in the house in a given day. It's fascinating. There's puzzles all over the place in a lot of the rooms. I haven't gotten to the point that a lot of people that have been playing it for a while.
Uh-oh.
And
The Covenant have come and they have taken Jack. What about you, Logan? What have you been playing?
Yeah, so...
Oh, yeah, you're like...
back.
I'm back. Sorry. I don't know what is going on with my internet today.
Covenant.
But yeah, like Blueprints is really cool. I've been playing that. I'd highly recommend it. I think it's $24.99 or $29.99 on Steam, and it's on Xbox Game Pass if you have that too. So it's free on there if you've got it. I've been playing that. I finally started going back to play Final Fantasy 16, so I just got through the intro on that. It's pretty great.
Is it really?
I'm really digging the story, much more so than I did either 15 or 13. So
Not a lot of competition, but...
yeah. But it's way better than I expected it to be.
Okay, I'm gonna have to play it. You try, and then Tara's brother all have now given it good reviews so far. By the way, thank you for streaming last week, Jack, as we were all dying. Heroic.
I've been playing Split Fiction with my son. The game is awesome. It keeps surprising me in more and more interesting ways. I think we're pretty close to the end now. We're about 15 hours in.
How would you compare it to the previous one? What was it called? Takes Two?
Yeah, It Takes Two. Yeah, I would say it's much less problematic playing it with a loved one.
So I didn't know when I started playing that game the story. Tara and I were playing it like for our video game date night we have on Fridays, and then it's like about divorce. The couple's like fighting, and we're like, does it get more like appropriate for what's happening?
Yeah. I busted out laughing. I think was it last year or 2 years ago? It won the Game Awards like best family game. I'm like,
no, it is not.
But you know, the art style is really cool. But Fiction is I think a much better game. Storyline's really good. There's enough variety in there that it mixes things up quite a bit. I'm really excited to see the end of it. I hope they stick the landing. I did hear there was a really cool Easter egg in it where there's like right before the end of the game, apparently there's...
I want to know what it is.
The suspense.
Well, it's going to be hard.
Heck.
It was like, there's a really cool Easter egg that...
Yeah. No, there's a really cool Easter egg that like right towards the end of the game, there's a path that's like, hey, this is the hardest challenge we have. This is like the super secret, not super secret, but the super tough platforming challenge. And apparently when you beat it, they have a video of the main director, Joseph Ferris, that actually comes on screen and says, hey, congratulations, you did the hardest thing in the game. And I guess as part of that video, he said, hey, if you're the first person that takes a video of this and sends it to us, we'll pay for your airfare and everything to come out here for the launch of our next game, which we're already working on.
Pretty rad.
And they made good on it. So like Gabe and I are going to see if we can do it when we make it there. We'll see. I checked the achievement for it and it's like less than 1%. And there's about 15% of people that have beaten the game. So we'll see. But I want to give it a go.
Anyone can do it.
Yeah. Sorry. So anyway, so playing that. I've been bouncing around. Been playing Thank Goodness You're Here. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's a really cool little. It's a game It's from, who is it from? Boy, who is the developer on that?
Cole Supper.
Cole Supper, yeah. Yeah, it's published by Panic Games, the makers of the what is the little handheld console with the crank?
Oh, the thing.
Yeah. Why can't I think of
Playdate.
the Playdate? Yes,
I've never heard
Panic
of
published
this.
it. Yeah, it's a pretty cool little game. It's very British. It's a lot of British humor, but it's kind of one of those games where you go around, you kind of poke everything,
Redcoats.
and you just kind of see how many like lines of dialogue you can get out of it. But it's a really funny little game. And then I paid because I heard some fun stuff about it, but I paid for the coin game, and so this kind of hit so I've got kids that are right in that age range where, like, you know, Dave and Buster's, you know, Chuck E. Cheese, all that kind of stuff is really, and so like all there is now at
Oh.
Yeah.
like coin like ticket redemption games, and like it's like almost exact replicas without being like the branding of what they've got, and it's really dumb, but it hits the same like dopamine receptors in my head of playing one of those stupid, even though there's like nothing. Yeah, I'm not gaining anything. I'm not going to get like, you know, 50,000 Twizzlers from getting all these tickets or anything like that, or saving up 100,000 to eventually get like a pair of AirPods or something. But it's kind of cool, and it's in early access, so they're still adding new stuff to it. But it's, you know, it's a fun little diversion if I want to go do something stupid for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's fair. I never thought I'd see the day that Chuck E. Cheese Simulator becomes a real thing, but like that.
Oh yeah. It's really dumb, and like I was just like, yeah, sure, I'll give it a shot, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, I can't say enough good things about. I think RoboCop really surprised me. Blueprints has grabbed me, and I'm told there's like a twist, or there's a point where, kind of like in The Witness or some other games, where like you hit a certain point and things just click for you, and I'm really looking forward to getting to that spot.
Oh, nice.
But I'm not there yet.
Now I have some games to play from both y'all, and I got turned away from a Chuck E. Cheese. That story. Shadow and I went to the one in Wichita when we were like 13, or I guess we'd have to be 16 because we drove. And because they had a Captain America Avengers arcade machine that we'd used to play when we were kids, and we wanted to play it, and we went, and they're like, "You're too old. We can't let you in." And we were very sad.
Wow.
Yep.
That happened to me as an adult, which I guess I can get it. You can't go in there if you don't have kids. I just wanted a pizza. And I was like, guys, I'm really feeling nostalgic. I'm waiting to pick somebody up. I'm stuck here outside. There's a Chuck E. Cheese. Can I just get the pizza? And they were like, no, you can't. I can't just pay for it here and you can bring it to me at the door. No.
Wow.
No. Would not. It's not that good, by the way. I just in retrospect,
you should get it through DoorDash. You should get it through DoorDash.
They will do that. Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't a thing at the time, or either way,
terrifying
they give me the
animatronic
option.
mouse come to your door too.
That'd be great. Well, in all fairness, I say it wasn't as good as I remember, but I have more memories of Showbiz Pizza, and over the decades, a name change / buyout, maybe the pizza's changed too. And I'll never know.
As somebody with kids, I can tell you it has not changed significantly. It's still kind of exactly what you remember.
Well, I mean, from Showbiz, because I remember Showbiz Pizza being good, and then eventually I got to try Chuck E. Cheese pizza again, and it was not good. So
no, I defeated
was it just
them.
my childhood? I don't know.
I defeated them. I had kids and went back. It was like, look. Have the key.
That's the cheat code right there.
Yeah, have the key, and then they let me in. So, and then the frickin' machine was gone. So
no.
Joke's on me. But Logan, what have you been playing?
Yeah, so I've been very busy with projects and such. So I haven't played too many games, but there have been a few. Repo, I've been playing that lately. That's been fun. I'm sure if you've been on the internet, you've heard of it. And it's just got good vibes. Like I love how the characters will like bop the mouth, to animate like with the people talking. That's just a small detail that really adds so much to the experience. And it's just kind of fun going around, and like I feel like we've hit a point where it's like optimized the formula started by like Lethal Company and then continued by Content Warning. It's just one of those games where you run around going to like collect stuff while avoiding monsters. It's a very refined version of that gameplay loop, and it's pretty fun. And then also been playing a lot of modded Minecraft lately. Started another Minecraft server. This has got to be like the 15th one I've started with this group of friends. But we have an interesting mod pack that this is like the second time we've played it. That is just a mix of a bunch of different things. Like we've got Pokemon in there. We've got like modded like dragons. Lots of different like additional structures and stuff. And yeah, it's been a pretty fun set of mods to play. Very chaotic. The dragons are kind of destructive, but it's worth it if you get an egg, because then you get to raise one.
Nice.
So yeah, lots of adventures there. And then also on and off playing Marvel Rivals a little bit.
I need to try that. Everyone's playing it seems.
Yeah, I hadn't really had any experience with shooters like that before. Like didn't play Overwatch or anything, but it's been pretty fun. Lots of characters. I haven't tried too many of them just because I tend to like try and get really good at one or two characters at a time. So I've really been enjoying Storm just because it's a good balance of like support and also DPS. And you get a nice aerial view. It kind of helps make sense of the chaos. But no, yeah.
Popping over and I'll just see him, and like he likes playing as land shark, so like he loves being land shark and just popping up and eating people, or popping up and like tossing them off the side of the map.
The good life. Good
Of
life.
course, everyone knows the real reason to play Marvel Rivals is all the thick butts. So,
I mean that's the Overwatch thing, right?
right, and that's on the girls and the guys. Like no one's left out.
Yeah.
I saw that you can make Venom twerk now or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
As originally intended.
I've never played Venom. I wouldn't know.
After the show, Logan, you can try it. Any chat messages to hit us up with, Logan? Then we'll move on to chip tunes.
Yeah. Let's see here. It's been a lot of chatter. Let's see. Maximus Prime says, I still remember Star Wars Battlefront 2 had online, but I had a PS2 and was scared of how to set up the online for the console. And they also say, here's another recommendation for Final Fantasy 16 for you, Break. Maximus agrees Final Fantasy 16 is great, as does Storm Eagle.
Wow.
So,
unanimous.
yeah.
Okay.
And then Maximus Prime, again, says, I think in reference to It Takes Two, it does feel a little more like DMC, and was surprised it was a rated M FF game. I'm guessing family friendly game. Yeah, I don't know much about It Takes Two other than just hearing a lot of people having stories of playing with their partner.
And thanks for coming and watching. I am gonna have to work my way up to getting Tara to play that game after what happened with the other one. Any more?
Johnny Graphic says, It Takes Two scarred me and my wife for life during that scene with the elephant character.
Oh, nice. Thanks for watching, Johnny. Looking forward to being on your podcast here pretty soon.
And then last one at the bottom, Storm Eagle says, I've been replaying Guardian Heroes on my Xbox One. Why, you may ask? It has an amazing soundtrack, great characters, solid controls, and trying to get all 7 endings. Nice. Yeah.
Nice. All right, let's go into the tunes of the chip. And we can go through these more as a list, I think. But But I absolutely love video game music, and again, next week we're gonna have Leonard J. Paul, on the show.
Please tell me we're gonna have Logan and Jake Paul on the show.
It is WrestleMania weekend, man.
Yeah, no, it's a bigger show than no. I would actually much rather have Leonard J. Paul than either of those people on the show. That would be not fun for me. But no, he's going to be an awesome guest and talk about a lot of video game music he's done and some of the other great things. But anyway, I love chip tunes in particular. I love all video game music, but I really have a soft spot for chip tunes, and wanted to go over. Kind of list my 10 game, and there's so many more. We could probably do this again, and more will come up for me. But the ones that really hit. So first of all, for me, Metroid on the original NES, like that opening scene. I mean, it sounds like something that could be on like a Nine Inch Nails album. It just that whole game sounds amazing. And then Super Metroid, just to cheat and add it on there. Right when you get off your ship and the rain starts and you go through that whole musical progression is just ridiculous. And then every Mega Man game ever released that has chip tunes, like literally all of them are amazing. I mean, you can point out two or but I even like Mega Man 5. I love Mega Man 5's chip tunes. I love 6 is kind of probably the weakest one for me, but and then the X games, of course. Really, once it gets to X4, any game X4 and before, I love Zelda 2. I love the music in Zelda 2. And then, of course, The Legend of Zelda. But Zelda 2 is, for whatever reason, I just absolutely love that music. That'll take me back to playing that game for the first time.
Can I interject one real quick thing?
You can interject all you want, sir.
On the Nintendo Music app, they added the Legend of Zelda soundtrack this week, and I completely forgot that there was a separate release on the Famicom Disk System in Japan, and I had never heard that music before. And hearing that was kind of a revelation. I was like, no way, because I knew Castlevania 2, Castlevania 3, Metroid, a lot of other games had Famicom Disk System releases.
Yep.
And with completely different soundtracks, or not completely different, but different instrumentation. And man, hearing that Zelda theme in just the intro theme and the Death Mountain theme with the Disk System instrumentation was kind of a weird revelation to me. Sorry,
no, that's that's kind of the original intention. I remember when I got the Famicom EverDrive, and I play all my NES games on a RGB modded Famicom AV, and hearing that, and even the sound effects in that game on that version is really, really cool. And then just Super Mario Brothers, that music will always just being the first game that grabbed me. And then I love the way that the PC Engine, the sound chip sounds. It has a kind of a unique sound. There's so many games I could go with, and it was hard to pick a couple, but I ended up going with Blazing Lasers and Soldier Blade just because those are the first two that hit my mind. There's definitely way more I could go with there. But anyway, and then also TMNT2, the arcade game. I absolutely love all the music in that game. The other TMNT game too, the first one, and the third one's okay, but the second one, I love the music in that game. Super nostalgic. Sonic the Hedgehog 1 through 3, just ridiculously good, all the way through. And then the myth, the legend, Streets of Rage 2 is so good. And I just, out of the corner of my eye, see that Johnny Graphics mentioned Shinobi 3. That one is really hard not to put on my list. I have that music on my phone, and I listen to it in my car fairly frequently. It's actually one of my favorite Genesis games. I finally beat it after years and years and years. When I over, was that Christmas break? So great game. All right, Jack, hit us up with some tunes of the chip.
All right, man. My overlap with yours, but it's kind of in that same vein.
It's okay.
So Final Fantasy 6 / US 3. That's probably my favorite video game soundtrack of all time. Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, it's got an opera in there, man.
Yeah.
I did get a chance to see it once. So they did a tour with Square Enix for Final Fantasy music, and I did get to go see the traveling orchestra do that, and they had the opera singers do the entire opera, and it was so cool. Like I just
Ugh.
it was an experience.
I would love to do that.
You know, they closed Angel, but like honestly, to me, I was like almost in tears when they finished off the opera. As it was, I had goosebumps. It was great.
Yes.
Anyway, so Final Fantasy VI, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time.
So good.
That soundtrack is awesome.
Have you heard the remix, the overclock.org album on that one? There's some
I think you turned me onto it at one point. Yeah,
that's a super rad one. Yeah,
that's fantastic. The sewer surfing level is like right up there at the top of the list. The original Streets of Rage, I actually prefer that soundtrack over Streets of Rage 2. Don't Kill Me.
It's still great. No, yeah, of course, still Yuzo Koshiro.
Yep. Super Mario World. Something about those little bongos just kind of gets me pumped.
Yeah, I like them.
Man, Rolling Thunder 1 and 2.
Interesting.
Rolling Thunder 1 is theme is just fantastic. I'm still here. The theme is
because
fantastic.
You talked about the tariffs. There's someone preventing you from.
I don't know.
And then Rolling Thunder 2, the Genesis version is okay, but I highly recommend if you can go find it on YouTube or somewhere else, go listen to the arcade soundtrack because it is heads and shoulders above the Genesis version.
Oh, cool.
Let's see, Sunset Riders, Konami arcade game about gunslingers. It's got a fantastic soundtrack.
You turned me on to that one.
Let's see some other stuff. Let's see, Donkey Kong Country.
That has some great music.
It's a huge one.
Absolutely does.
Yep.
Which, but I have a request from my coworkers since we're getting a composer on the show to get the Donkey Kong Country composer.
That's right,
show.
David Wise, right?
David Wise.
They will all listen.
Yeah,
if we can get David Wise.
I'll try.
Castlevania 3 is another one of my favorites. Afterburner 2. We talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago with Johnny, but like anything that's in that Sega range from like, Hang On to I don't know, G-Lock, that mid 80s, that early 90s period with Sega.
So exciting.
Can't beat any of that music. It is fantastic. And then I'll just one more. My favorite arcade music of all time. Look it up if you haven't heard it for a long time. But Ninja Warriors is amazing.
Yeah,
that first level Ninja Warriors Daddy Mulk is it's great. It's
that
fantastic.
Remaster remake or whatever that they put on recently is pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good. Again, that first level music, Daddy Mulk, is just one of my favorite pieces of video game music.
Sounds like a delicious treat.
It's great.
Yum. All right, some awesome music there. That's some good stuff. It's so hard to pick. What about you, Maul? What tunes of the chip?
Man, I mean, like Jake, there's a lot of overlap with our stuff. It's just the classics stand out. I mean, obviously, I'm a huge fan of Mega Man and everything they've got. Castlevanias, though, for me, Symphony of the Night remains a fave.
I have to say, just really quick, the second you said Mega Man 2 music played. Like, it was literally completely an accident.
I tend to be in tune with your music player.
That does that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is.
The music oracle.
Yeah. And of course, like, I talk about it every time we go over like favorites, but Chrono Trigger, and even though I don't like the game as much, Chrono Cross's soundtrack by Yasunori Mitsuda.
The intro music especially.
Intro stands out a lot. But I did that's one I actually bought the 3-disc soundtrack for from Japan at a convention, and just vibed out to it. It's a very chill, kind of like islandy sound to that. It's very different than the first game, but definitely worth listening to. But I mean, this is all the crazy, like the 16-bit era, the 8-bit era, Other classics like stand out Street Fighter, ActRaiser for me, the first ActRaiser, Batman on the 8-bit.
Yeah.
Honestly, it and Return of the Joker
so
both had
good.
really killer. Yeah. Though, like for me, like though the chiptune era, those are like what I really hang on to more so than the PlayStation, and later, when now we've got like full orchestras, so impressive, but not what sticks to my head most of the time. I like the blippy bloopy
Same
old
here.
school sounds. Though I do also really appreciate like remixes of them where people have taken them and turned them into a different thing. So
Definitely.
I think that's what really makes like, obviously the meme is out there, but the music that they put to the meme for like the Zero Wing, All Your Bass Are Belong to Us, like techno remix
The good one.
is just amazing.
Oh.
And a shout out to Revenge of the Mini Bosses, who have made their career out of touring and playing rock remixes of like every 8-bit tune
Oh yeah.
you can imagine.
I found a
Love
couple.
those guys.
I found a couple other bands that you may have already heard of, but I really like Vomitron.
Yeah,
They're really good. They do all NES, but they're really
Okay.
good. And then Bit Brigade.
Yeah,
is
Bit Brigade's
really good
great.
too. Those are the two.
One that I found, they do original music more so than covers, but Anamanaguchi, they are
they're so
fantastic.
good.
They did all the soundtrack for
I like the name anyway.
they did all the soundtrack for the Scott Pilgrim versus the World game, and that's how I found out about them. But it's like chip tunes with like they mix it up, but they have real instruments in there too. But it's a really good combo.
I have to say, and this is surprising maybe, but in terms of the modern soundtracks that aren't chip tunes, I would still say like a lot of the Nintendo stuff from the GameCube era are still like classic era kind of but like in terms of the more modern ones, the Halo theme is actually the one I probably like the best.
Yeah.
That do 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 that like is so like vein
what's
pumping.
coming.
Yeah, it's so good. I even liked it when I didn't like the game, like begrudgingly.
The Mario Kart 8 soundtrack is fantastic.
Yeah,
the
they recorded
Mario
so
Odyssey.
happy.
band for all that, like that.
So happy and nice. No, I love music that's atmospheric. It has this place too. But I think the reason the chip tune is so melodic, and it instantly hooks you in like to that level because every single and they had to be so careful with the chip itself. I remember reading to not make it annoying and grating, that they had to put effort into making sure that whatever the instrumentation was sounded good. So
It's crazy too. Like you think about you get some soundtracks on the original NES, like Zelda 2, Mega Man, any of them, or Super Mario Brothers, and then you look at some of like the unlicensed games that came out on the NES, and it's just like Atari 2600 level bleeps and like annoying sounds, and it's just, man, it can break a game so fast. Not to mention they're mostly terrible controlling too, but that's besides the point.
Yep. All right, Logan, what are your musical picks?
Yeah, so I'm gonna have
Maul,
to
I
go
didn't
with.
cut you off, did I? You got through yours, right?
No, you're good, man.
Okay.
We got to the remixes and
Okay.
we're all good.
I just realized I might have accidentally, so I want to make sure I didn't Darria you.
Dang it, Break. Always doing this. If not to Daria, then to me. God.
I feel so bad.
No, you're beautiful. You're good.
Thank you. All right, Logan. What's your music?
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go with Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles, and I love all the
So
original
good.
Sonic soundtracks, but
Michael
that
Jackson.
one stands out. Yeah, Michael Jackson getting involved. Really good music there. And then the Tetris arcade music.
Oh,
that
nice.
stuff just I'm so addicted to that song.
I love that
and
you picked
rendition
that.
of
That's
it.
not one I would have been able to
Yeah.
remember out of my brain.
Which Tetris arcade?
Oh, that's
Is it the Atari one?
I think it's the
or-
Atari one. Yeah. One with the very Russian sounding music.
Okay, yeah, that's probably the Atari one.
Yeah. And then Pokemon Red and Blue, actually. Because a lot of those songs just really stuck with me. And like sometimes I'll just whistle like one of the like overworld songs. It just pops back into my head. And then F-Zero.
So that's like one of my top 5. I love F-Zero.
Mute City, Big Blue, man.
So good. So good.
They just really get your heart pumping, like really exhilarating.
Like I said on one of the other shows, that was the first game I played on the SNES, and I was blown away. Like I just could not believe any aspect of that game existed when I played it.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna go with Super Mario Bros. Again. That first level music is just iconic.
It's like supposedly like one of the most recognizable tunes on Earth.
I believe it. Like everything about the game is perfect, down to the music.
Yep.
And then 1943 Battle of Midway, which is an arcade game. And yeah, more exhilarating music. I love playing that. Oh, Jack's gone.
I've been meaning to talk to you about that game. So you should try the PC Engine version of that.
Really?
Yeah. It's a little bit different. And because it's aimed for the home audience, potentially even better, yet the same stuff. There's also Kai on that. So you might give it a try.
Okay.
Might fire it up. You might really like it. The arcade game is great. I prefer the PC Engine one.
Yeah, the arcade one is kind of cheesy because like I have it on my home arcade machine, so we can just press a button to insert more quarters and just play forever.
There you go.
But I'll just try the PC Engine version.
And also the sound chip, is delicious.
Yeah. Although I love the way the arcade music sounds.
It's great. Like it's pretty good.
Do you want to hit us up with any of the chat messages before we ride off into the sunset this fine evening?
Yeah. So we've got Storm Eagle says, I've been replaying Guardian Heroes on my Xbox One. Oh no, we've already read that one. Johnny Graphic says Shinobi 3 has some next level chiptune music. And then also from Johnny Graphics, also Airzonk has some of the best chiptunes ever.
Oh yeah. Great selections, Johnny.
And then Storm Eagle says, chiptune music is amazing. You have Mega Man X, Rocket Knight Adventures, Donkey Kong Country, Super Metroid, especially Lower Norfair, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Super Street Fighter 2, TMNT 4, and Final Fantasy 6.
If you actually, too many to name. For Metroid 2, Metroid Metal is great. We actually had that guy on the show way back last run, but he's played it. I know he's played it PAX. He's probably played MagFest too. That stuff is awesome. Really high quality.
Nice. Okay. And then one more from Storm Eagle. Also, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie on Sega Genesis, has a great chiptune soundtrack. They turn all the songs on the show into 16-bit version, and it's awesome. Check it out.
Check out the dark side of Power Rangers on Investigation Discovery or whatever. That game randomly advertised to me. That show had some. Whew.
Oh boy.
I will say I really love chiptune remixes. I love hearing the creativity people have when turning songs that weren't originally for chiptune into chiptune music.
Definitely.
It's just it's a favorite little remix genre there.
Chiptunes. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun. Jack, is there anything you would like to say?
I just want to say, Bunny, for dropping off tons of Easter candy at the house. Like, it was like going into the pantry last night, and I found just like 4 different bags of candy. Like, it's like the good jelly beans, like the Brock's jelly beans that are only out around this time.
If I made a remix, it would start with Jack saying "good jelly beans."
Those were. I think I ate like an entire bag the last 2 days. So
happy Easter. Nice.
Oh.
Nice. Oh. I think that's what's wrong with your video tonight. Too much candy. And Maul, how about you?
Well, I've got a very exciting weekend coming up. As Jack mentioned earlier, this weekend is WrestleMania. That's here in my hometown. I'll be hitting like 4 solid days of wrestling. I'm going to Bloodsport tomorrow night, and then SmackDown, and then WrestleMania the next 2 days.
Wow,
plus all the various conventions, meet and greets and things all around there. This will be a very expensive weekend, but it should be a good time.
I can imagine, man. Oof.
That's awesome. And Logan, what about you, sir?
Yeah. So I had a very exciting weekend. My film went to Wi-Fi Film Festival last weekend and won a couple of awards. Best Production Design and Excellence in Title Design, which was cool. And started submitting.
It's also nominated for the best overall film, wasn't it? Or the best... It was the best... It was nominated for best Washburn Tangential Film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And started submitting it to more festivals now, so hopefully there will be more coming down the line.
There'll be more.
Awesome.
Awesome. Well, yeah, congratulations. I wish I'd have been there, but I was deathly ill. It's the only time I've missed my own festival. But super stoked. I'm getting an early Father's Day present. Tara got me like my my kind of dream guitar, so I'm pretty excited for that to jam this weekend, hopefully. But thank you for listening to the game show. Make sure you check us out next week. We'll have Leonard J. Paul, who video game composer extraordinaire. I can't wait to see you same time next week on the game show.